Hello and welcome to Jigsaw Shed. So recently in my karate school I was asked to do a fitness challenge for the leadership class, and I decided that it needs an award. What the award will be for, I do not yet know. Maybe our sensei will decide on this. But I set out doing the design in Affinity Designer, exported it to Lightburn to then engrave or cut out on my Algo Laser 5-watt DIY kit. Now you can see an inscription going there, and that's a quote by former US President John Quincy Adams, and then the image of the person doing a karate kick is actually of our sensei, which I'd previously done and put into a Christmas bauble. But the cutout was done at 150 millimeters per minute and at 70% power, and on the 5-watt DIY laser it cut just through 2mm ply. Now this bit was a bit tricky, having to get out the letters, because they were, even though they were loose, they were quite wedged in there with the shape that some of them were. So I just had to pry them out with a little sharp tool. And so on to airbrushing. I used Chestnut's product Spirit stains for this, yellow, orange and red, to create a sunburst effect. Now some of you may already guess where the inspiration of this came from. If not, I'm sure you will know by the end of this video. Now obviously I started with the yellow, moving on to the darker, the orange and then the red, only because that meant I didn't have to clean the airbrush in between. The stain will just build on top of the other one, whereas going the other way is not so easy, as the red will overpower the yellow. But yeah, so worked my way through, starting with the yellow in the center and moving out to the red on the outside. Now the inner disc was the sunburst effect, but for the outer rim with the lettering and the image of our sensei doing the kick, I decided to paint those all black to create a better effect once overlaid on top of the sunburst. And again, it's just a Chestnut Products Black Spirit stain that I use for this. Now in hindsight, when doing this, I should have actually tacked it down because the disc and the image kept moving as I was trying to spray it. But yeah, it all got done. And then using O3adhesives medium to just glue the pieces together. Now, when I glued the two rings, I thought I got it perfectly lined up, either side, that both were equal. But then at the end, I realized that I had stuck one slightly off from the other one, and I could not take that apart as the glue was holding really strong. But yeah, really pleased with how that's come out. Now with the lettering, there were small little bits that I had to add in afterwards, and they were a pain because they were so tiny and they just kept getting stuck to the tweezers that I was using. But worked really well, and any bits that was still showing some of the wood up, I could just cover over with a black marker pen, and you will see me doing that on the outer edge of the wood as well. Now I could have gone for sanding sealer first, and probably should have, but I decided to just go straight for the lacquer, and I gave it quite a good few coats until I had a nice shine build up. And then it was on to raiding my offcut bin, and I found this nice bit of bubinga from ages ago. I think this was from a clock that I'd made for my father-in-law, probably back in, I want to say the end of 2020 or beginning 21, I think it was. And yeah, it was just perfect size for what I needed, and just needed to trim it up on the lathe, get it into a shape that I was looking for. Yeah, and it would make a perfect base for the award. So I finished the base of it first before turning it over to complete the other side, because otherwise I would not have a place to mount it back in a chuck afterwards to do the underside. So best to get that done, turn it around, and then do the last. And I have to say, I love the chatoyance within the bubinga. It is just absolutely stunning. Now I appear to not have got that quite into frame, but if you didn't see it, that was microcrystalline wax from Chestnut products. So while I was waiting for the wax to cure, I decided to move on to making the peg that will hold the disc to the base. And for this I just used a piece of beech, again from my offcut bins. So yeah, offcut bins are really handy things to have. And I just cut a little slot for it that was wide enough for the disc to fit in. And then I popped it onto the lathe afterwards to turn. You will see that in a bit. But back to the base first, just polishing it up and then moving on to drill a hole. I think that was a 6mm drill bit, or it could have been the 8. But yeah, drilled a hole for the peg itself, and then there we go, peg is centered in, and I'm using the skew chisel to shape it. Now obviously being careful at the end where those that slot is cut, that I'm not too vigorous there and break it. Right, and now to put the 3 pieces together, again using O3adhesives medium CA glue for the little peg, but then I moved on to using the thick for the disc itself. Well, thank you for joining me in Yorkshire Shed. So there's a little trophy. Really pleased with how it's turned out, and it was a lot of fun making this. Obviously the base is bubinga, then beech, then basswood laser cut ply. The image there is actually one of our Sensei that I previously made into a Christmas bauble, and then thought actually it would make a good addition for this. Now obviously the color scheme and the effect, I took inspiration from the Karate Kid for this, but yeah, really pleased with how that's turned out as well. And then obviously just an inscription on leadership at the back, and that comes from an ex-US president long ago. Can't remember the name now, John someone. But yeah, really like this. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave me a comment down below, give the video a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe to my channel if you've not done so yet. And I hope to see you next time. Take care.